So ideally we would have Valenti here, but he's in Smyrni right now. We have the next best thing. Paros has been with Valantis on this journey to make this film. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any reactions? Anybody want to ask Paros any questions about the making of the film? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Is he now a Turkish citizen, or is he on a temporary visa?
So he asked, is Valenti now a Turkish citizen? Not yet, but he's very close. He's working on it, and he will be.
Can I have a follow-up? So in other words, he's allowed to become a Turkish citizen?
I believe so, yes. Yes, sir, in the blue. Okay.
I'd like to add something that you didn't see in the film. Last October, I think it was, Bishop Dimitri, who you saw in the film from Chicago, went to Smyrni and they baptized Valantis' son in Agia Fotini Church. So it was a very beautiful full circle. The whole family was there, and it was a beautiful celebration to bring another Greek Orthodox Christian into the world over there when you see nothing but old people and death and destruction of this town. So Valantis is it's a beautiful story. It really is. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
In a part of the movie where he interviewed the editor of Apogevmatini, he asked, "What can I do?" He told him you should do a documentary about Istanbul, Constantinople, and the Greeks there, and the Fana, the Patriarchate, and so forth. There was a little attempt after that part of the movie that he went and he filmed inside St. George and so forth. But to me, at least for me, I didn't see much more going deeper into that and finding more of the identity and the history and so forth. Do you think that's in his next plans to see that? Basically going deeper and seeing the ecumenical values that maybe he was looking for, that the Patriarchate had over the centuries.
We talked a lot about next plans. There's a couple things Valenti wants to do in that region, aside from our writing scripts and making narrative features. I think you didn't see much more of that digging because we wanted to focus more on his journey as opposed to digging into more history. We just wanted to focus on his journey.
But if we have anything to do with it, there will be more films like this. And we will do more films about the Greek communities, the lost Greek communities, especially the ones of Turkey. Any other questions? Yes, doctor.
This isn't a question, it's just a comment. One of my best friends is a physician, a colleague of mine who is from Izmir, and his name is Sumer Karaup. And during the entire show, I've been taking pictures and texting him to him. And he always points out the similarities between Greeks and Turks. And his comment was, "I have been telling you the whole Aegean area should be one country." And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. But thank you for sharing this. This is a beautiful documentary.
Thank you, doctor. Any other questions?
I think in the red over there you had a question?
Yeah, I did actually. I was wondering, and I don't know if you were privy to this, how did they present that they were going to baptize the child to his wife's family? Because obviously his wife's family was Muslim. There's a lot of secular church, but her family seemed that they actually are observant of Ramadan and the like. So I would wonder, how did they present it and how was it received?
It was not a problem. Like early in the film when we meet her family, he says, that they never really asked him to convert or anything like that. The religious differences were not a problem because so there wasn't a matter of presentation. It was just a matter of hey, this is happening, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. And they were just so completely open to it,
I had similar questions to Valenti because I said, hey, what's the deal here? Because I'm the purist. I'm the Greek Orthodox purist. I'm like, what's going on here? And I even asked the bishop. And he said, there's nothing wrong with living two cultures. We do it here all the time. We have so many mixed marriages where people are living two separate cultures and are true to both of them. Whether or not that is within the confines of our church and the dogma of the church, how many how people take communion or whether, that's not for me to decide, but they're raising a lovely young son in a very healthy environment, and this kid is going to know that he is Greek Orthodox living with a Muslim mother. It doesn't get more beautiful than what I've experienced with these guys. Any other questions?
I have one more question. You both of you been to Izmir, correct? Did you find the Turks there different than other parts of Turkey?
I don't know. No, I mean I've been to.
We didn't notice. I happened to be. I was born in Constantinople, but I did not notice any. Mainly, we saw look like secular Turks, which I happened to have spoken to someone before, and they said that they feel more Aegean than actually Turks in that part of the Aegean. Did you sense that?
I personally noticed that in Smyrni, the Turks are more Greek. They're more like us. In Istanbul, you have a lot more headscarves. You have a lot more of
They're coming in from Anatolia.
They're coming in from but in Smyrni, they look like we do. I mean, they look not a lot of dark colors, and Smyrni is a lot more like a Greek island.
More like Aegean people.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Sir.
Do you have a DVD of this thing that we could buy?
Absolutely. Not just yet. There's some future screenings of this film in the works throughout the 2013, and I think by the end of 2013 we will have that available. So I think stay up to date on the Greek America Foundation website and our website, Crescent Street Films, and I appreciate you asking that. Yeah. By the end of this year, you'll be able to purchase the DVD. Any other questions?
One more. It has to do with Project Hope. There are huge crises in Greece right now, including medical crises, where fundamental medical care is not available to people who need it. And I know that the Turkish government has even put a boat in the Aegean, as has the Archdiocese from New York, to provide medical care. But there are also huge shortages of fundamental things such as inoculations, medications, and the like. Is Project Hope trying to raise money for medical care as well?
One of our charities that we are supporting is Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders is currently working on, and I know a lot of you are probably not going to believe this, but if you Google it, you'll see it. There's a malaria epidemic in Sparti. And Doctors Without Borders is currently working on putting out a malaria epidemic, and the team of doctors came from Senegal, from West Africa. It's shocking that people from West Africa that are dealing with these things are now dealing with malaria in Greece. We're also dealing with another organization that is responding to, and I know a lot of this is very shocking to hear about our patrida, about our home country, about our homeland, a 35-fold increase in HIV infection in Athens. And that's amongst intravenous drug users, and more shockingly, teenagers. Because the government has cut funding for education. So teenagers don't realize what they're doing when they're doing it. So we have now in Athens a 35-fold increase in HIV infection. We're also dealing with the tuberculosis crisis. This has been brought by a lot of the illegal immigrants that are coming over, but unfortunately, people say, well, that's not our problem. They're illegal immigrants and they're Pakistanis and they're Iraqis. Well, it is our problem because tuberculosis spreads from your neighbor. And tuberculosis doesn't say, well, you're Greek and I'm not going to give it to you. No. So these are real problems. And we're responding, we're supporting a number of medical organizations. We're also in discussions with the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. There's a surplus of medicine here that gets thrown away because the date expired, the expiration date is approaching. We want to take all that medicine, and I saw my mother crying. I don't pay attention to the Greek news because they speak so fast and it gives me a headache. I saw my mom crying, and I said, "Mana ti egine?" And she said, look what happened. Sto chorio mas in Chania." I said, "What?" And I started paying attention, and a 4-year-old kid with childhood diabetes couldn't get insulin because the hospital didn't have insulin. Basic medicine. We look at this today and you can go buy it anywhere. You can get it for free. This 4-year-old kid in Crete died because the hospital didn't have the money to get pharmaceutical supplies. So we are responding to these kinds of things. Unfortunately, we're a tiny organization. We have 2 full-time employees. I'm a volunteer. I'm here on my own time bringing this message. I've got to go back to work in a couple days. We will continue sharing this message. Project Hope has exploded. We have created a critical mass of philanthropy throughout the country. We've had, like I said earlier in the day, over 75 fundraisers like this, some bigger, some smaller. All of those efforts are culminating the end of May when we announce all of our plans at the Gabby Awards in Hollywood, May 25th, and then we start phase 2. We're about to receive a $1 million gift from an anonymous donor to start a leadership program at Northeastern University. We're talking with a number of others so we can bring Greek students from Greece to come and spend a summer here and learn leadership and learn things that they're not learning over there. So we have big plans for Project Hope, and we hope you're going to stay involved with what we're doing. Any other questions?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Funding on the movie, did you get any assistance from the Greek government or the Turkish government?
No.
In funding this thing?
We funded this thing almost exclusively on Kickstarter, right? We used a crowdfunding campaign. So we had the majority of our donations were $10, $25, $50. We used the Greek America Foundation Network. We have very active Facebook and Twitter base, and that's pretty much how it was funded.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to ask one last favor of y'all.
Of y'all, he's from Atlanta. Y'all.
I am from Atlanta, which, by the way, there's a Project Hope screening of this film coming up in about a month, and we're working on a Project Hope screening in October in New York as well. So it's great to be able to travel with this film with Project Hope. So the last thing I'll ask y'all is to come down and on camera give us a 30-second reaction of your film, or of the film, because it will help us bring it to a wider audience. So if you can do that, I'll be very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Thanasi. Thanasi, where are you? He's outside already. Thank you, Thanasi.